Welcome to Lose Lips, all the things you wanted to say but didn't know how to say it. Today's topic is on dreams and how they inspire. Today, I actually want to talk about dreams and how they inspire. And I think this is important, especially in this day and age, because of the increased uncertainty that is going on in our society today. We've just gotten out of a 2-year pandemic. Granted, COVID is still here, and it's probably going to be with us for a very long time, globally. And I don't think a lot of people, especially in my age, have even gone through such an instance, such as the pandemic. I never thought in my life that I would actually go through a pandemic before. But during this time, and as a world, we had to make serious changes and endless change. Everyone basically was locked in their homes for a certain amount of time. And during this time, a lot of people were laid off due to the economy, due to businesses not being able to have their employees coming in, due to the uncertainty, due to people not purchasing. Our consumers were in a flux, basically. During this time, you had a lot of companies that laid their employees off. And I'm not actually even talking about just in America, but globally. A lot of companies laid a tremendous amount of the workforce off. Then the government came in and they handed out stimulus checks to some that were laid off. And it put a lot of people in disarray and flux. What are we going to do? I don't have a normal paycheck anymore. My sense of security is gone. There are some, of course, that took advantage of the time that were laid off and decided that they were going to go into business for themselves. And I have to basically not only encourage, but I have to say that I'm actually really proud of people that decided to take the bull by the horn, so to say. They didn't let uncertainty get them down. They looked for instances where they could thrive in an uncertain market. There were people that had hobbies that turned them into businesses. There were people that went on the internet and learned how to create their own business from scratch. There were people that took courses to better themselves in order to find a different source of income. So during this time, you had a lot of people that basically became their own boss. And this is what I want to talk about. Because if there's a dream that you have, or if there's a purpose that you see that you want to do and fulfill your life, by all means, you should go ahead and do it. Now, there are some people who say that, they can't turn their hobby into a productive business, or they have no special talents, that they can see themselves out of doing anything that they were supposed to be doing, or what they were previously doing. And that's okay, but you never know unless you try. Now, me growing up, I was always into a lot of things. One of the things my parents did was to encourage us to be creative. And in this day and age, as children, you don't see a lot of them. You don't see a lot of the children um, that are not in front of TVs. They always seem to be in front of a TV. You have a lot of children playing video games, and there's not that much creativity. When I was actually growing up, we were actually very limited in watching TV. And I actually remember that we couldn't watch it so much so that when I actually went to college, I brought a little TV so that I could watch Saturday cartoons because it was something that I did not get as a child growing up. But needless to say, I learned a lot of different sports. I learned a lot of different crafts. I learned a lot of different instruments. So it provided an outlet for me during the pandemic, not to create a business of my own, but actually for me to do a lot of the things that I felt I no longer had the time to do. I no longer was able to do. I was able to draw. I was able to play the piano. I was able to paint. I wanted to take quilting classes. I was not able to do that during the pandemic, but it is something that I want to do in the future. Now, there are not many things that I see myself doing in order to create create a business or whatever. It's something that I've actually really thought about heavily. But in the long run, I would love to be able to do something or create a talent or further a talent to create a business of my own. And the pandemic has actually provided me in a way to think what I can do on the side as a side hustle. I haven't come up with an answer yet, but it does allow me to think about all of the things that I may be able to do in the interim in case I were to get laid off, in case I need that other outlet, in case I need to make an alternate source of income. What would you do? I say this because dreams are, and even our subconscious might be a way of telling us the things that we don't necessarily think that we can do if we actually put our mind to it. Now, a lot of times, dreams are an inspiration. Dreams sometimes can make you feel good. They can make you feel bad. But if you really sit down and sometimes even write out what your dreams are telling you, a lot of the times that's your subconscious breathing out to you answers. Sometimes, if you have a question or a thought in mind and you don't really know the answer, sometimes you can sleep on it and the answer will come to you the next day or the next. There are a lot of people, even psychologists say, that sometimes when you dream, as soon as you wake up, you should write down what you remember of your dream, because a lot of the times when you dream, those are your answers. I think as a whole, though, a lot of people underestimate the value of what we hold deep inside. A lot of times, I believe, we give up too easily, and that shouldn't be. There have been stories when I have read about people who are handy making dog houses who created it into a business during the pandemic and started making dog houses and doll houses. There are people who consult, there are people who write, there are people that are handy, and there are people who even became personal trainers. There are so many things that we do in our everyday life. I, for one, am actually starting to write down what I do out of the ordinary of my regular work day, or maybe not even out of the ordinary, what I do in my daily life that I could possibly give to another person and make that into a business. And there comes a time when you even say to yourself, but I do so many things. You know, you know what? Try them all. Take one step at a time, do it, and see how it comes out, especially now as we enter into a new age where, yes, during the pandemic, a lot of people were laid off, a lot of companies were in flux, and now we're coming out of that. But there's still a lot of layoffs that are going on, whether it's Google, Meta, Amazon, all of these big companies are starting to lay off all of these employees. So these employees must feel like they're in a flex, so to speak. But I will say that's not the end of the world. I think with all the talent that is out there, I think with all the uncertainty that is out there, this is a time when so many people can actually say to themselves, okay, this might be a setback, but it's not going to break me. What can I do to come out of this? And I've been reading stories where a lot of people are kind of panicking because, at the beginning of the pandemic, they weren't laid off. And now, after the pandemic, they are getting laid off and they're getting nervous. What is it that you really want to do? I'm a strong believer that everything happens for a reason. So if there is a chance that maybe in your dreams something is coming through to you, that's something that you should actually look into. It's an inspiration, it's a thought, but it doesn't have to be just a thought. It's also something that you can actually place into reality. And that's why I think that a lot of people need to look inwards and see what are they actually able to do. Dreams are a blessing. They are the change and the catalyst from within that holds us together. Remember, change does not happen unless we are willing to open the door. What have you been closing off and not pursuing? And I know it is scary to try something new. the unknown, the uncertainty. If you are working, try and read up on what you think may hold your interest. Learn how to bring it to fruition. Learn how to capitalize it. Failure is not an indication that it can't be done. Failure is an indication that you have tried and need to look at a different angle. Now, if you are working, make a dream into a side hustle. Me, at the moment, I am taking Coursera courses in marketing and entrepreneurship and how to turn my thoughts and dreams into a profit. There are some people that are very happy to have left the corporate workforce and now work for themselves on their terms. Never say that you can't do anything or are not able to do anything worthwhile. If you are working or have work, then you are productive and have something to offer. I mean, think about it. A teacher can be a tutor, a musician can give lessons, an assistant can write, a gardener can open up their own business, a retail person can open up their own clothing store, a line cook can open up a food truck. There are so many options. Yes, the economy is tight right now. Yes, it may be hard in the beginning, but there are a lot of programs that are encouraging small business owners. Look into your own county and look for grants that will be able to help you gain capital. But most importantly, remember that dreams are there for a reason to inspire, to unlock hidden potential, and to bring you a dose of reality. Thank you so much for listening to Loose Lips. Until next time.